Good morning, people of the internet. You are listening to Debi Radio 79.5 FM, a podcast where we discuss the movie Grosse Point Blank 1 minute at a time. I am your co-host, Hugh David.
And I'm Dev Sodiga, and on today's show we're going to be looking at minute 8. Joining us on today's show we have Billy Holku, self-professed generic nerd. Welcome back, Billy. It's been good to have you this week.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun coming around and just talking about Grosse Point Blank. Love it. Absolutely fun.
Such a good film.
Let's go.
So, Dev, do you want to set up where we are at this point?
So, it feels like we're never going to leave this parking lot on the outskirts of LA. We have the opening of this minute is Martin Blank kind of rubbing his eyes, looking fairly tired while sat on the side of his Lincoln Town Car, talking to Marcella on the phone once again about his high school reunion. And it goes through that onto the beginnings of his next hit as he's lowering a camera and a cord down to apparently poison his next victim.
So, Teller, you were saying that there is it this minute or the next minute with the thing that weirds you out?
The next minute.
We'll save that.
So stay tuned for that.
Yes,
tomorrow,
Dev has a thing in this sequence that weirds him out. So we'll talk about it in a second. Can I just praise Joan Cusack, please?
Anytime.
Let's just do that. She's so great.
I do want to point out those earrings, because those earrings are horrific.
It's the style at the time.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the style in the 1930s. But then again, this is the woman that is later dressed like a member of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So,
well, yeah, but you see, what I think is ironic is that people like Madonna would wear Sgt. Pepper style stuff. It never went away. Is the crazy thing if you follow pop music. And I get the feeling that this is how we see Marcella's character outside of her job. I would love to know if Cusack chose these herself or if it was the set. If she worked with the production designer and the costume designer for them. But it does feel very, because it's also 97, 96, 97. So this is post X-Files. So there's a dash of Scully about the way she's dressed. Yeah.
I had never made that association.
Never have I.
No, and I mean, in my defense, I hadn't seen X-Files until probably about a decade ago, so quite a long time after it first came out. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. It is very, very Scully.
The hairstyle, the makeup,
the hair, the bob,
the earrings.
The big shoulder pad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, as you say, it's only when we see her the next day with the Sgt. Pepper jacket, which is partly how we know it's the next day. And then you realise that the haircut, as you say, the bob's there, Billy, but the rest of it, at that point, she's no longer dressed like, she's no longer a Scully alike, but she is very much that kind of professional woman, knowledgeable. And there's something about the way she says, "You don't seem like, your old self lately." And there's something about the way she emphasizes that, almost like it's, I don't know how to put this. I want to say that she is, sort of like not quite demasculizing him, but she's kind of, it feels like she's undermining him somehow. I don't know how to explain this because it's all in her tone. It's not in the words. It's all in the way she delivers it. And it just sounds ever so slightly like, I have noticed that there's something wrong, and you do have something wrong, but I know you won't listen to me, so I'm going to play this game. I don't know what you guys think.
This reminds me of that conversation we had several minutes ago, right at the beginning of the film, when we were talking about Marcella being the one in the boss's office.
Yes.
And Martin Blank being the one that sits at the reception desk.
Yes.
And I think that all of the conversations over the phone, you see a very comfortable Marcella. This is how she's used to interacting with him. It's him on the other end of a phone line, and she can let a little bit of her personality show through.
Yeah.
And you see her personality in another scene in the film where she's providing a soup recipe and then ordering ammunition or correcting an ammunition order. but she has a bit of sass. She has a bit of, no shit's given, right? Like, she's clearly yanking his chain with the "Welcome back to the old oak tree" routine. Yeah, I mean, it definitely does solidify that relationship of like Martin Blank is the specialist, but she's the one that actually makes everything work.
Yeah. Do you guys, Billy? Have you played Metal Gear Solid?
Not really. No.
Okay, Dev.
I've played 1 and 2.
Okay, so I've watched my partner Kim play all of them. They're very entertaining to watch, actually. Surprisingly, not all games are. It's not always, not every game is watchable when someone else is playing it. You need to play it. These are very watchable because they're basically based on, action movies and James Bond movies. The creator Hideo Kojima is an absolute nerd like us, and he's into all the same sort of things. But one of the things that is interesting about those games is they're very, and they go back all the way to when this film came out. But so they've been through several iterations. But there's always they're about the specialist in the field, and he's got the earphone, and he's being talked to by people, and there's a similar theme going on there. And given how he's a movie buff, I wonder if Kojima got something. These fans nickname him Koji, so I wonder if Koji got something out of this film, because it does feel occasionally like that sort of dialogue. I mean, later on you'll get 24 and it all becomes very common. The person on the phone, put hand to the ear every time, like stop showing everybody where your money that you're on a headset. That's the thing that always gets me when I see these guys. It's like, stop doing that. Everyone can see that, But I feel like this film is almost nails it out right out the gate. This kind of format of that, as you say, the support officer, the whatever you want to call it. I don't know, quartermaster, whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. You've got the unit, you've got the controller. So, but it's a bit of a trope, I would say as well. So you have it all everywhere. You hear it sometimes in Halo. But there's even in Batman when you've got the character of Oracle.
Yeah.
Batman's running around and you've got your watchtower. It's like, what's going on?
Yep.
So you've got the greatest detective and he's running around everywhere, but he's always relying on that person in the ear, giving him all the info.
I mean, do we think it? I mean, in the case of a hitman, it makes sense. I feel like the trope makes a little bit less sense with some of our other characters. I think it's almost because writers are growing up with the internet and are kind of like, oh, you have to have somebody to tell you what you need to know, and it's like, the whole point about Batman is it's all in his head. He knows it.
He knows
it's
everything.
not just that though, right? It's super lazy exposition.
Yes.
Right? It's an excuse to narrate to the audience.
Yes. That's a good point.
Which ironically is the exact thing that's not really being done in this film.
No, the film is not doing that at all. No.
Right, it doesn't even make mention to the literal next hit that he's got to do in this entire phone conversation.
No, exactly. It's crazy. But it's also an interesting psychological thing, isn't it? Because it's a reminder that for a generation of men who worked in certain organizations and offices and hierarchical structures, the people who know them best are not family, are not friends. It's their secretarial staff, it's their support staff who know them the best.
That will babysit the undetermined gendered cat when they go out of town, right?
Yeah.
And sort out the therapist appointments, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what PAs did. I mean, I was always amazed at what the PA for my boss at ADV Films used to do. Like, they were both women, and the boss would think nothing of saying to the PA, oh, can you make sure you've got some more pads in for me this month and stuff like that. Like, what has that got to do with the job? But Americans seem to think that's how personal assistants work, I don't know. I've never had one.
Well,
yeah, it's not just Americans either, though. I know of other folks who work as ABPs, even in the UK, and it's a very similar kind of experience.
Well, a quick question in it again to you guys in regards to the relationship of the character of Marcella and Blank. In regards to the casting, do you think that due to her sassiness, due to her familiarity, could she actually be related to Marcella and
as
Blank?
opposed to
could
not,
actually be related?
as opposed to just being related as actors? Do you think they're related? That's an
Yeah.
interesting concept.
Like they're actually family. They're hence why she's able to give that, that kind of sassiness, that kind of informality.
That
You notice that when she's on the phone, she's given all this. She's like reciting, she's kind of playing with him. But then later on in the film, they're quite separated.
That's a really interesting point. Did they by casting family, are they also implying a familial relationship? That's a really interesting point. I had never thought of that.
I can't see it, given the broken down relationship he has with his own parents.
Okay.
When he leaves home, I don't think he's the kind of person that would ever lean on a familial relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I have always wondered where the two of them met or how the two of them met, because she talks about, someone she used to clerk with, and like there's definitely like, she had a career before she started working for him. She has connections with people that are of value, and I wonder if she went through Quantico or something, or something like that, to give her training in this field, and they met at some point.
That's interesting.
In service.
Yeah, that
would make sense. I do think it's interesting that he doesn't know if she's ever been to a high school reunion. Like, I would hope that if they were related, he would know that, but I guess it's not given.
I think the reasoning for that becomes clear when they meet in person.
Yeah.
And we can talk a bit more about that when that happens, because it's not too far out. But how the relationship dynamic changes there, I think, explains that a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Alrighty then. Anything else from this minute, guys? I think this is.
I have a couple more things.
Please,
so we have that conversation with Marcella, and we haven't actually gone on to the actual hit. And it wasn't until we were watching this a minute at a time that I really consciously recognized that there is a context shot here of a neon strip, which is clearly where the hotel is located. And I was trying to figure out where the hell it is. And I'm assuming it's Vegas, but it's a very different Vegas. Or, I don't know, maybe it's just like I think it is Vegas. Vegas has developed very quickly over the last 30 years.
Annoyingly, movielocations.com skips that bit. They just
I couldn't find it either.
It just says fate conspires, and they just skip onwards. So somebody hasn't done their due diligence on that. Although I suppose I'll double check IMDb and see it, because the stuff people put into the IMDb, honestly, you never know.
Not like I've put anything on IMDb.
Between you and Cosmos, mate, I mean, the amount of stuff that people I know have put on there. I mean, I used to put stuff up there myself, but that was for work. I mean, I still have my access to add. In the same way, I still have my editorial access for my contributor access for Wikipedia, but I try not to use them anymore. Although I'm going to do this with in my critical thinking class with year 12 at some point. I'm going to pull up a Wikipedia page, I'm going to log in, and I'm going to actually change it in front of them and see what happens. I just want to see their realization when they realize how easy it is, but also then to watch it get changed back fairly shortly afterwards. So,
look, I'm changing history.
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem with the online. Right, goofs, quotes, connections, trivia. I cannot find. Where do they put locations on IMDb? I can't find it. FAQ.
What?
How long?
I feel like that parking structure in the background should be like super iconic. I'm on second 39.
Yeah. I'm with you.
If you're wanting to see exactly what I'm seeing. But it's like neon light lit hotels like that seem.
It's like a seedy kind of hotel. In my head, I think it was still in LA or something like, or maybe Miami or something like that.
Yeah, those are both valid.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'm just looking at IMDb has got a list of locations, but it doesn't link them to which scene, which is very annoying because it doesn't help us. Right, so that isn't it. Oh well, we'll find out later on.
Some homework for a future
Yeah,
minute to circle
I
back
mean,
on.
I think it might be Ambassador Hotel on Wilshire Boulevard, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not sure. I will have to get a picture of that place to check. But yeah, that seems to be our possible, because there's more than one hotel listed in the IMDb. So yes, that was going to be 1 point. What was your other one?
We'll see more of it in the next minute, so maybe I should hold it till then. But it's to do with the way that the next sequence is cut, and let's hold that for tomorrow.
All right then, fantastic.
So this was minute 8 of Grosse Point Blank podcast, Debi Radio 79.5 FM, featuring your hosts, co-writers, and co-producers, myself, Dev Sodiga, and Hugh David.
And today's guest was Billy Holku, self-professed generic nerd. Billy, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Dim Sum Discussions, where it's all full of great food pics and some information of where you can get some great dim sum and dumplings.
Excellent. You can find us at all good podcast players, as well as on YouTube, X, and Spotify, all under the handle at Debi Radio, which is spelled Debi Radio. On our website, debiradio.com as well, which once again is Debi Radio.
You can also join us on our Facebook listeners group, Debi Radio 79.5 FM Fan Club, and chat more about the movie or movies in general. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Sure was clear that all of this was new. Concentrating hard like a little girl, smoking for the first time. It wasn't a moment, it was a feeling of mood.